So my point is the entire framework wherein utilities contracts in California are giving preferential treatment to LGBT organizations is illegitimate. But given that it is what it is, they have both incredibly invasive questions that they would ask of people, and it's also obviously and completely gameable. But it's also gameable in a way that we haven't even talked about yet. Because we've talked about the T, we've talked about the Q, we haven't really talked about the L and the G, which are just sexed versions for homosexual, lesbian, and gay. But what about the B? What is going on with the B? Well, there's been many headlines lately about how very LGBT, LGBTQ, whatever you want to add to it, Gen Z is, right? And the headline has just been that, oh, Gen Z is so, I want to say queer to replace all the rest of the letters, but I know that's not a real thing. So like LGBT, right? Well, it's not that straightforward. And in fact, it's much more straightforward, and it's much more obvious once you hear it, and egregious, because it's not the young men who are declaring themselves LGBT in massive numbers in Gen Z compared to generations before. It's the young women. So we have here Dr. Randall S. Olson on his Substack. The rise in LGBTQ plus identification is mostly young women. And he's pulling this from a Gallup survey, and he's put together an excellent graph. So I'm going to show you this rather than go to the Gallup survey directly. The rise, let me see if I can make this just a little bit bigger. The rise in LGBTQ plus identification is mostly young women. So let's just start at the bottom. Among the silent gender, this is again, according from a Gallup poll from 2024, the most recent data for which Gallup is available at this point. Silent generation, 1.8% of the population declare themselves LGBTQ. Boomers, born 1946 to 64, 3%. Gen X, that's us, born 65 to 80, 5.1% overall. And then Gallup started also reporting a gender split in generations after our generation, for millennials and Gen Z. So for millennials, born between 1981 and 1996, they report 9% of men identify as LGBTQ, and 18% of women do. That's high. That's a huge leap from Gen X. But in Gen Z, born 1997 to 2006, which frankly doesn't seem like a long enough generation, so they're going to have to extend that out. But put that aside for the moment. That's just going to be like, I guess people younger than that aren't old enough to be queried yet, probably. So for Gen Z, born 1997, 2006, 12% of men are identifying as LGBTQ, and 31% of women. Wow. 31%. Okay. And that's huge. That sounds ridiculous until you realize, let's see, I don't actually, here it is. Yeah. That the label doing most of the work is bisexual, as Olson says in his Substack. Among LGBTQ plus members of Gen Z, most are bisexual. Among the oldest LGBTQ plus adults, almost none are. Older generations are mostly gay and lesbian, younger ones are mostly bi. My argument is that bisexuality in women is the newest social contagion. It's popular, it's actually harmless, it's way better than cutting yourself or declaring that you're a dude. And hey, guess what? It also opens up opportunities for contracts in California.
Whoa.
So we have a generation that is, yes, more LGBT identified than any generation that came before, but it's not that flat. It's 3 in 10 women among Gen Zs are calling themselves LGBT, but the vast majority of these are actually saying I'm bi. And what does bi mean? You were once attracted to a woman? That's bi enough for some people. And if that's all it takes, and then you have doors open up to you because affirmative action now includes LGBT, and why wouldn't you? Like, given that we have a generation of people who are losing opportunities based on AI taking work, and they've had their souls stolen by COVID lockdowns and the screens that they're glued to, if you see a way to both join the crowd, be one of the cool girls, and also have more doors open up for you down the road, why wouldn't you? Like, I wouldn't have, but I know a lot of people who would.
Right. And I mean, I know that this is what you're describing, but at some level, there's no downside for a woman declaring herself bi, even from the point of view
There's no you factor. There's no, like, it doesn't.
No, it's like, the opposite. It's like considered edgy and cool and sexy. So the point is, if you're completely mercenary, then of course, if you get contract advantages, you know, and it sets you apart from your competitors in the mating and dating market.
But not that much apart anymore.
No, because a lot of people have figured it out. But yeah, it's crazy. And once again, who pays the cost? Like real lesbians.
Real lesbians.
Right? Yep. Real lesbians are being outcompeted by a bunch of straight girls who want to claim that they're, you know, in the club.